Welcome back, survivors. Before the story starts, tap subscribe and comment where you're tuning in from. I'm dropping another story tomorrow, and you'll want to catch it first. The lights just went out. All of them. And I can hear something breathing in the tunnel behind me. Something that isn't supposed to be alive. My name is Maya Rodriguez. I'm a paramedic. And 185 days ago, we sealed ourselves inside Union Station, thinking we'd be safe from the infected. We were wrong. Because the thing that's been stalking these tunnels, it was here first. It's been using the zombies to hunt us. And now, in complete darkness, it's finally coming to finish what it started. I have maybe minutes before my flashlight dies. So if you're hearing this, you need to know what we found down here. What's been watching us. Waiting. The barricade just splintered. Oh God, it's inside. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go back. Back to when we still had hope. Day 185 started like any other day in our tomb of marble and steel. I woke to the sound of dripping water echoing through the main concourse. A leak somewhere in the station's guts that we'd never found. The emergency lights cast everything in sickly green, turning the grand architecture into a haunted cathedral. I checked my flashlight immediately. Habit. Obsession. The batteries were at 30%. I had 2 spares left. After that, I tried not to think about after that. Derek was already awake, pacing the perimeter like he did every morning. Former transit cop, still wearing his uniform like armor against the chaos. He'd memorized every inch of the station during his 15 years working here. Every exit, every tunnel, every blind spot. Sleep okay? He asked, though we both knew the answer. Fine, I lied. The nightmares had been worse lately. Dreams of being buried alive, of darkness pressing into my lungs like water. He handed me a protein bar, our breakfast, lunch, and dinner these days. Travis's fever spiked again last night. I need you to check on him. Travis. 4 days ago, something had gotten through our north barricade. We'd found 3 people torn apart in the access tunnel, their bodies positioned almost deliberately. Travis survived with a gash across his ribs that I'd stitched by candlelight, my hands shaking so badly I needed Lily to hold the flashlight steady. How bad? I asked. Derek's jaw tightened. Bad enough that Robert's been asking questions. Questions. That's what we called suspicion now. Polite. Civilized. As if we weren't all wondering which one of us would turn first. As if we hadn't all seen what happened when the infection took hold. I gathered my medical supplies, what little remained, and headed toward the old lost and found office we'd converted into our medical bay. The station felt wrong this morning. The air too still. The shadows too deep. Lily sat near the dying fire in the main concourse, her college textbooks scattered around her like relics from another world. She looked up as I passed, her eyes red-rimmed. Maya, she whispered, I heard something last night, in the tunnels. It wasn't like the infected. My stomach clenched. What do you mean? The infected, they scream. They snarl. This was different. It sounded like breathing, wet, heavy. And Maya? Her voice cracked. It sounded close. Before I could respond, the lights flickered. Once, twice. The fire cast our shadows long and twisted across the walls. And from somewhere deep in the tunnels below, I heard it. A sound like 1,000 wet breaths being pulled through broken glass. Then silence. The kind of silence that means something is listening. The medical bay reeked of copper and sweat. Travis lay on the makeshift cot, his shirt peeled back to reveal the stitches I'd placed 4 days ago. They should have been healing clean. Instead, the skin around the wound had turned the color of old dishwater. Gray, mottled, wrong. But it was the veins that made my breath catch. Black lines spider-webbed outward from the gash, pulsing with something that moved beneath his skin like worms. I'd seen infection before. This wasn't infection. This was something else entirely. How long? I asked, pulling on latex gloves that were more holes than rubber. Travis's eyes rolled toward me, glassy and unfocused. Since last night. Woke up and my whole side was on fire. Maya, I can feel it moving. Don't talk like that. I pressed my fingers against his neck, checking his pulse. Fast. Too fast. His skin felt like ice despite the fever burning through him. You're going to be fine. The antibiotics just need more time to... I went into the tunnels. My hands froze. What? 2 nights ago. Couldn't sleep. Kept hearing sounds, scratching, breathing. So I followed them. His voice dropped to a whisper. I found something, Maya. Down in the old maintenance level, the section Derek said was collapsed. The air in the room felt suddenly thin. Travis, that's impossible. We sealed those tunnels ourselves. The infected can't... It wasn't infected. His hand shot out, gripping my wrist with surprising strength. His eyes cleared for just a moment, lucid and terrified. It was already there, before us, before the outbreak, living in the dark places. And Maya? His pupils dilated. It knows we're here. It's been watching us, counting us. It's been opening the barricades from the inside. Ice crystallized in my veins. You're delirious. The fever. The homeless man. Travis's voice cracked. The one Derek found our first day here. The one with no face. We thought the infected did that. But Maya, that was before the infected even reached this part of the city, before the outbreak hit downtown. I remembered the body in the tunnel, the way Derek had gone pale, insisting we avoid that section. The way he'd never fully explained what he'd seen. What are you saying? Travis's grip tightened. I'm saying we didn't trap ourselves in here to hide from the infected. We trapped ourselves in here with... The lights went out, not flickering this time. Complete, absolute darkness slammed down like a coffin lid. My flashlight died in my hand at the exact same instant, as if something had reached out and crushed the batteries. The darkness pressed against my eyes, my chest, my throat. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. 8 years old again, trapped in the collapsed coal shed, dirt in my mouth, weight on my chest, no light, no air, no... Maya? Derek's voice cut through the panic. Maya, stay with me. Backup generator will kick in any second. But seconds stretched. 5, 10, 15. Then I heard it. That wet breathing sound. Closer now. Not from the tunnels below. From inside the medical bay. Travis? I whispered into the darkness. No response. Travis, answer me. The breathing moved, circled. Something dragged across the floor. Something that wasn't feet. Derek's flashlight blazed to life, cutting through the black. The beam swept across the room. Travis's cot was empty. The door we'd locked from the inside stood open. And on the floor, written in something dark and wet, were 3 words. It knows you. A scream tore through the station. Then another. The wet sound of tearing flesh echoed from the main concourse. The infected were inside again. But this time I knew the truth. They weren't breaking in. Something was letting them in. Derek grabbed my arm. Move, now! We ran into chaos. The emergency lights sputtered back to life in seizure-inducing bursts. Infected poured from the maintenance tunnels, like ants from a disturbed nest, but they moved wrong. Too coordinated, too purposeful, like they were being herded. Robert fired his hunting rifle. 2 shots, 2 bodies. Lily screamed, backing toward the escalators. Pastor Glenn stood frozen, his Bible clutched to his chest. And beneath the sounds of chaos, beneath the screaming and snarling, I heard it again. That breathing. Close. Getting closer. Derek's hand was iron around my wrist, dragging me toward the frozen escalators as the infected swarmed the main concourse. My medical bag bounced against my hip, useless now. You can't stitch up what's already dead. Up! Everyone up! Derek's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Lily was already climbing, taking the escalator steps 2 at a time. Robert followed, his rifle barking twice more. An infected woman in a torn business suit collapsed, her skull fragmenting across the marble floor. Behind her, 3 more surged forward. Pastor Glenn stumbled. His Bible fell, pages fluttering like dying birds. I grabbed his arm, hauling him up the first step just as teeth snapped inches from his ankle. Leave it, I screamed when he reached back for the book. We climbed. My legs burned. My lungs felt like they were full of glass. Below us, the infected hit the escalator base like a wave hitting rocks, scrambling, climbing, their fingers leaving wet smears on the metal handrails. But they were slow, uncoordinated, not like before. Derek reached the second-floor landing first, his service pistol sweeping the darkness. "Clear! Keep moving!" We didn't stop, couldn't stop. The third floor, the old administrative offices. Derek had scouted them weeks ago. Multiple rooms, solid doors, defensible, except we'd never needed to defend from the inside before. Lily hit the third-floor landing and immediately started dragging furniture, a filing cabinet, desk chairs, anything heavy, toward the entrance. Robert joined her, his face slick with sweat and fear. I counted heads as we piled into the main office. 6 of us had started the day. Now there were 5. "Where's Travis?" Pastor Glenn gasped, leaning against the wall. "Gone," Derek said flatly, already checking his ammunition. His face went pale. 4 bullets left. "What do you mean, gone?" Robert's voice pitched high. "Gone where? Did he turn? Did you see him turn?" "I mean gone!" Derek's shout echoed off the walls. He was in the medical bay, and then he wasn't. The door was locked from the inside, and he vanished. "That's impossible," Lily whispered. "So is this." I held up my flashlight, flicking the switch. Nothing. Every battery died at once, every light, every emergency backup, simultaneously. The office fell silent except for the sound of infected throwing themselves against the furniture barricade below. But even that was wrong. They weren't frenzied, they weren't desperate, they were persistent, patient, like they were waiting for something. "It's hurting us," I said quietly. "Whatever's down there, it cut the power to scatter us. It let the infected in to drive us up here. It's not trying to kill us, it's moving us." "Moving us where?" Robert demanded. Before anyone could answer, the lights came back on. Not the emergency lights, the main power. Every fluorescent tube in the ceiling blazed to life, so bright after the darkness that we all flinched. And in that harsh light, I saw something that made my blood freeze. The windows. The administrative offices had windows overlooking the main concourse. We could see down to the ground floor, see the infected milling around the base of the escalators. Except they'd stopped attacking. They stood perfectly still, dozens of them, motionless, their heads tilted up toward us at the exact same angle, watching. "Oh, God," Lily breathed. "Oh, God, oh, God." "That's not right," Pastor Glenn whispered. "They don't do that. The infected don't—" The lights went out again. When they came back on 3 seconds later, the infected had moved, not scattered, not attacking. They'd formed a circle. And in the center of that circle, standing in a pool of darkness that the lights couldn't quite reach, was Travis. His shirt was gone. The gray had spread across his entire torso now, those black veins pulsing visibly even from 3 floors up. But he was standing, walking, his movements fluid and wrong, like a puppet with too many strings. He looked up at us and smiled with too many teeth. "Oh, Jesus!" Robert's rifle clattered from his hands. "Oh, Jesus Christ!" Travis's mouth opened, but the voice that came out wasn't his. It was layered, dozens of voices speaking as one, wet and ancient and hungry. "Come down, Maya. We need to talk about what lives in the dark." The windows exploded inward, not from outside, from inside the office. Something had been in here with us all along, in the darkness behind the filing cabinets, waiting. Glass rained down like frozen tears. I threw my arms over my face, felt shards bite into my forearms. The sound was everywhere, breaking, crashing, the screaming of the others mixing with something else. That wet breathing. It was inside the office with us. Derek's flashlight beam cut through the chaos, sweeping wildly. The light caught something behind the overturned desk, something that shouldn't exist. A shape that hurt to look at, like my brain couldn't process what my eyes were seeing. Dark, fluid, wrong. It moved like oil poured upward. "The hall!" Derek fired twice. The muzzle flash illuminated a nightmare. Something with too many joints, skin that glistened like raw meat left in water too long. Go, 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 we ran. Lily first, then Pastor Glenn, then Robert fumbling with his rifle. I was last, and I felt it behind me, not chasing, following, like it wanted me to run. Like this was all part of some game whose rules I didn't understand. The hallway stretched endlessly, doors on both sides. Emergency lights pulsed, making our shadows dance and multiply. We looked like we were being chased by a dozen versions of ourselves. In here! Lily grabbed a door handle, the old station master's office. We piled inside, Derek slamming it shut and throwing the bolt. Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. We stood in the dark, our breathing ragged and loud. I could smell fear sweat and something else. Copper. Blood. Is anyone hurt? My paramedic instincts kicked in despite the terror. Sound off? I'm okay, Lily gasped. Alive, Robert muttered. Intact, Pastor Glenn whispered. Derek? No answer. Derek? My flashlight sputtered back to life, weak, dying, but enough. The beam found Derek slumped against the door. His hand was pressed to his side, blood seeping between his fingers. No, I breathed, rushing to him. No, no, no. Window glass, he grunted. Caught me when it exploded. It's not deep. But when I pulled his hand away, I saw the truth. A 6-inch gash across his ribs, deep enough to see muscle, and around the edges his skin was already turning gray. That's not from glass, Robert's voice shook. That's a claw mark. Derek met my eyes. In them I saw understanding, acceptance, terror. How long? He asked quietly. I don't know. My hands moved automatically, pulling gauze from my medical bag. This isn't the infection. Travis was wounded 4 days ago, and he lasted 4 days until he wasn't Travis anymore. Derek grabbed my wrist. Maya, listen to me. Whatever's down there, it's not just letting the infected in. It's making more of them, different, controlled. That's impossible. You saw Travis. His grip tightened. You heard him speak with that voice. That thing is spreading through the station like a virus, but it's not mindless. It's intelligent. And it's been planning this. A sound outside the door. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Then Travis's voice, but wrong, layered with that chorus of wet whispers. Maya, I can hear your heartbeat through the door. Rabbit fast. You're so afraid of the dark, aren't you? I can taste it in the air. Your fear is delicious. Lily whimpered, backing into the corner. 6 of you went up. 5 of you reached this room. But Derek's bleeding, and blood calls to blood. You have maybe an hour before he changes, before he becomes like me, before he opens that door and invites us all inside. Shut up, Robert screamed at the door. Would you like to know what happened to the others? The 6 who died in the breaches? They're not dead, Robert. They're down here with me, in the tunnels, in the dark. They're waiting. They remember you. They remember everything. And they're so very hungry. The footsteps moved away, down the hall, then silence. It's lying, Pastor Glenn whispered. It has to be lying. But I was remembering. The bodies we'd found. We'd never actually burned them. Derek had insisted we seal them in the lower tunnels. Too dangerous to burn them in the station, he'd said. The smoke would attract more infected. Derek, my voice barely worked. The bodies from the breaches. Where exactly did you put them? His face went pale in the dying flashlight beam. The old maintenance level. The section I told everyone was collapsed. The section Travis said he'd explored 2 nights ago. The section that wasn't collapsed at all. Oh God, I breathed. They're all down there, everyone we've lost. It's been collecting them, building something. Building what? Lily's voice cracked. Before anyone could answer, the lights died again. All of them. Complete darkness crashed down. And in that darkness, I heard Derek's breathing change. Slower, wetter, wrong. Maya, he rasped. Run. I couldn't see him, could only hear the wet, rattling change in his breathing, could feel the darkness pressing closer, thick as oil, as the sound of his humanity slipped away. "Derek, fight it. Can't." His voice fractured into something plural. "It's in my head. Maya, run." My flashlight was dead. But Robert's rifle had a tactical light. I heard him fumbling in the darkness, metal scraping against fabric, the click of a switch. Nothing. "Battery's dead," Robert's voice pitched toward hysteria. "It was full this morning. It was full." "It wants us blind," Pastor Glenn whispered. "Wants us afraid." A sound in the darkness. Movement. Derek's breathing had stopped, or changed into something that didn't need to breathe the same way anymore. "The door," Lily hissed. We have to get out." "Can't." I'd heard the bolt slide, not from our side. Derek had locked it while we weren't paying attention. Or the thing wearing Derek had. "We're trapped." Footsteps in the darkness. Too light. Too graceful. Derek had always moved heavy, like a man who wore authority like armor. This moved like water, like shadow. "Maya," his voice, but underneath it, that chorus. "You stitched me up so many times, remember? After the breach on day 47, after the collapse on day 90. You saved me. Let me return the favor." "That's not Derek," I said, backing up until I hit the wall. The others pressed close. I could feel their terror like heat. "I'm more Derek than Derek ever was. I have his memories, his fears. Did you know he loved you? That every time you touched him, checking wounds, taking his pulse, his heart would race? I can feel that echo still, that wanting." "Stop it," I choked out. "He was going to ask you to leave with him when we found a safe place. Build something new, something clean. But there are no safe places, Maya. There's only the dark, and what waits in it." The sound moved closer. I could smell it now, wrought and copper and something ancient, like air from a sealed tomb. "The thing you don't understand is that I'm offering you mercy. Join us. Let the change take you. You'll never be afraid of the dark again. You'll become it." A hand touched my shoulder in the darkness. I screamed, "It's me!" Lily's voice. "It's just me. I'm right here." Light exploded. Pastor Glenn had found something. A cigarette lighter. The tiny flame pushed back just enough darkness to see. Derek stood 3 feet away. The gray had consumed half his face. One eye was still his, brown, terrified, pleading. The other had gone black, reflecting the lighter's flame like an animal's. The gash on his side had opened wider, and through it I could see something moving. Tendrils. Roots. Whatever this thing was, it was growing inside him like cancer with purpose. "There you are." Both mouths smiled. Derek's and the thing beneath. "I can see you now." Robert raised his rifle. "I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry." He pulled the trigger. Click. The bullets were gone. He'd fired them all during the chaos. His face crumbled as Derek, the thing in Derek, stepped closer. "Did you really think I'd let you keep weapons that could hurt us?" The Derek thing's head tilted at an angle neck shouldn't bend. "I've been planning this since day 1. Every breach, every attack, every loss. All of it leading here. To this moment. To..." The lighter went out. Darkness swallowed us whole. But in that last second of light, I'd seen something. The door. The bolt had been thrown from our side, but there was another way. The station master's office had a second exit, a private door leading to the observation deck. Derek had shown it to me weeks ago. In the darkness, I grabbed Lily's hand. Squeezed 3 times. Our signal. She squeezed back. She understood. "Pastor, Robert," I whispered as quietly as I could. 3 steps back. There's a door. "I can hear you, Maya." The Derek thing's voice circled us. "I can hear your blood moving through your veins, the flutter of your eyelids, the grind of your teeth. You can't hide from..." Pastor Glenn's lighter flared again. He threw it, not at Derek, but at the far corner. The thing's head snapped toward the light. And we ran. I found the door handle, turned it, prayed. It opened. We spilled through onto the observation deck, a narrow catwalk overlooking the main concourse. I slammed the door. No lock. Nothing to barricade it with. Below us, 3 floors down, the infected still stood in their perfect circle, waiting. And in the center, Travis looked up. His smile grew wider, splitting his face in ways faces shouldn't split. Behind us, the door exploded off its hinges. Derek stepped through, and he was barely human anymore. "No more running," he said with a dozen throats. "It's time to come home." The observation deck was a metal cage suspended over nothing. Guardrails on both sides, a 50-foot drop to the marble concourse below. The catwalk swayed under our weight. It had never been meant for running, for panic, for survival. Derek moved through the broken doorway like smoke taking shape. The gray had spread across his entire body now, his uniform hanging in tatters. The thing beneath his skin pulsed visibly, veins of black spreading like cracks in porcelain. "End of the line," Robert gasped, backing against the railing. The metal groaned. Below, Travis laughed. The sound echoed off the station's vaulted ceiling, multiplying until it seemed like the building itself was laughing at us. "Jump," the Derek thing whispered, taking another step. "Or join. Those are your only choices now." My mind raced. Paramedic training? Problem-solving under pressure? But there was no protocol for this. No triage for the end of the world. Then I saw it. The fire suppression system. Union Station had been retrofitted in 2019. I remember Derek complaining about it during one of our late-night talks. The new system was overpowered, meant to flood the entire concourse in seconds. The control panel was 20 feet away, mounted on the wall near the shattered door, near Derek. "Lily," I whispered, "when I move, you run left. Draw it away from the panel." "Maya, no, do it." I lunged right. Lily broke left. The Derek thing's head snapped toward her, predator instinct. It moved fast, impossibly fast, but its focus had shifted for just a second. I dove for the panel, fingers finding the emergency break glass. I smashed through it, grabbed the activation lever, pulled. Nothing. "Did you forget?" Derek's voice came from right behind me. Too close. "The power's out. Your clever plan dies in the dark, just like..." The sprinklers erupted. Not water. Foam. Fire suppressant foam that poured from every nozzle in the ceiling, thick and chemical white. It cascaded down in waves, filling the concourse below, rising like a toxic flood. The Derek thing shrieked, a sound that didn't come from human vocal cords. The foam hit its skin and I heard sizzling. Saw smoke. Whatever this thing was, it was allergic to something in the chemicals. "Go!" I screamed. We ran back through the station master's office, through the hallway, foam chasing us like a living thing. Behind us, Derek's screams mixed with that wet breathing sound, creating a symphony of agony. The emergency stairwell. We hit it at full sprint, taking stairs 3 at a time. Down, down, down toward the ground level. The foam was everywhere now, ankle deep and rising. We burst into the main concourse. The infected stood motionless in their circle, foam up to their knees. They didn't react to us, didn't move, just stood there like mannequins, their heads still tilted up toward where we'd been, waiting for orders that weren't coming. "They're broken," Pastor Glenn gasped. "Whatever was controlling them is hurt, not dead," I finished. "We have to move, now." "Where?" Robert demanded. "The exits are still barricaded." "We sealed ourselves in, remember?" "The tunnels," Lily said quietly. "We go down." "Are you insane?" Robert's voice cracked. "That's where that thing lives." "That thing is behind us," I snapped, "and the infected are waking up." She was right. The infected were starting to move again. Jerky, uncoordinated, confused. One stumbled, fell into the foam, thrashed. Another's head turned slowly toward us, its jaw working like it was remembering how to hunt. Travis still stood in the circle's center. But something was wrong with him. The gray was receding, pulling back like a tide. His human eye, the one that was still his, found me, and in it I saw lucidity, terror, pain. "Maya," his real voice, just for a moment. "It's not one thing. It's a colony, a hive, and it's been growing in the tunnels for years, maybe decades, feeding on the homeless, the forgotten, building itself, waiting for enough food to arrive." His body convulsed. The gray surged forward again, swallowing him. "Traitor," his mouth said with that layered voice. "No matter. You'll all join eventually. The dark always wins, Maya. Always." Behind us, a crash. Derek emerged from the stairwell, his body barely holding together, foam eating through him like acid. But he was still coming, still hunting. The north tunnel. I made the decision. It's our only chance. We ran, past the infected, who were slowly remembering how to be hungry, past Travis, who watched with eyes that were more void than human, into the maintenance tunnels where the foam hadn't reached yet, where darkness waited like an open mouth. The tunnel swallowed us whole. Emergency lights flickered sporadically, just enough to see the rails stretching into nothing. Water dripped somewhere ahead, and underneath everything, that sound. Breathing. But not behind us anymore. All around us. It's not just in Derek and Travis, I realized, my voice hollow. It's in the walls. In the foundation. The entire station is infected. And that's when the tunnel lights went out for good. In the perfect darkness, something touched my ankle. Cold, wet, wrong. And it pulled. I hit the ground hard, concrete slamming the air from my lungs. Whatever had my ankle dragged me backward with impossible strength, away from the others, away from everything, into the absolute black of the tunnel's throat. "Maya!" Lily's scream echoed, but it was already distant. Getting farther away, I clawed at the ground. Fingernails scraping concrete, finding nothing to hold on to. The thing pulled me faster. I could feel it now. Not a hand, not a tentacle, but something between. Segmented, pulsing, alive. Then suddenly, I stopped moving. Silence. My breathing was too loud, echoing off walls I couldn't see. I lay perfectly still, every muscle locked, waiting for whatever came next. A sound, clicking, organic, like joints popping, moving around me in a circle. Then light, dim, bioluminescent. The walls were glowing with a faint green-blue luminescence. Thousands of tiny points of light spread across the tunnel like diseased stars. And in that glow, I could see where I was. The maintenance level. The section Derek said was collapsed. It wasn't collapsed. It was transformed. The walls were covered in growth. Organic matter that pulsed and breathed, spreading across concrete and steel like fungus. Veins ran through it, carrying something that glowed faintly. And suspended in the growth, like flies in amber, were bodies. The 6 people we'd lost in the breaches. Their eyes were open, mouths moving silently. Not dead, not alive. Something in between. And at the center of the chamber, sitting on what looked like a throne made of bone and metal and twisted meat, was something that might have been human once. Decades ago. Maybe longer. Its skin was gray-green, translucent enough to see the colony of whatever it was moving beneath. No hair, eyes that were pure black. Not just the iris, but the entire eye, socket to socket. When it opened its mouth, I saw it had no tongue, just a cavity filled with writhing tendrils. "Hello, Maya," the voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "I've been waiting to meet you properly, without my puppets, without the fear, just us. What are you?" My voice barely worked. "Older than the infection you call zombies. Older than this city. This station was built over my home. Over the place where I was born, where I died, where I became more." It leaned forward. I was the first homeless man to disappear in these tunnels. 1987. They looked for me for 3 days. Then they forgot. Everyone always forgets the people who live in the dark. The bodies in the walls twitched, their mouths moved in sync. Forgot, forgot, forgot. I starved down here, slowly, painfully, and in my dying I found something. A fungus, ancient, growing in the deep places. It promised me I'd never be forgotten again, never be alone. It kept its promise. The thing that had been a person stood. It was tall, 7 feet, maybe more, its body elongated, wrong, like it had been stretched on a rack. For 38 years, I've been growing, spreading, taking the forgotten ones, the homeless who came down here to die, building my family, my colony. And then the apocalypse came, and suddenly, food started walking itself to my door. It moved closer. I scrambled backward, but there was nowhere to go. The tunnel walls were lined with that pulsing growth. You're special, Maya. Your fear of the dark. It's so pure, so primal. I can taste it in the air every time the lights go out. That terror is intoxicating. Why? I gasped. Why the games, the breaches? Why not just kill us? Because fear makes the meat tender. It smiled with a mouth full of writhing things. Because watching you realize there's no escape, no hope, no cavalry coming, that despair seasons everything. You've been marinating in it for 185 days. My hand found something on my belt, my last syringe, epinephrine, useless against this thing, and now you're ready. It reached for me with fingers that had too many joints. Now you join my family. You become part of something greater, something that will never die, never be forgotten, never be... I jammed the syringe into its throat and pushed the plunger. The thing shrieked, not pain, surprise. The epinephrine wouldn't hurt it, but the shock. I ran, deeper into the tunnel, away from the nest. The bioluminescent growth lit my way in strobing pulses. Behind me, that shriek became a roar, and I heard the bodies pulling themselves from the walls. Heard them coming. The tunnel branched, left or right. No way to know which led to safety. I chose left. The growth on the walls grew thicker, more dense. The air grew colder. And then I saw it. Daylight. Real daylight, filtering through cracks in what looked like a collapsed section of tunnel. A way out. I scrambled toward it, fingernails bloody, hope surging, and found Lily, Robert, and Pastor Glenn. They'd made it here first. Were already pulling away debris, widening the gap. "Maya!" Lily sobbed. "Oh God, we thought... Move!" I shoved past them, grabbing rubble, pulling, tearing at the barrier. It's coming. It's all coming. We clawed at the collapse like animals. The daylight grew brighter. The gap widened. Almost big enough. Almost. A hand grabbed my shoulder. I spun. Derek stood behind us, or what was left of him. The foam had eaten away most of the infection, leaving him a patchwork of human and other. His real eye found mine. "Go," he rasped, his voice, just his. "I'll hold them off. Derek, go." Go! He turned and ran back into the tunnel, back toward the sounds of pursuit, and we squeezed through the gap, one by one, into the dying light of day, 185, into a world that was somehow more terrifying than what we'd left behind. The sun was setting, blood red and wrong, painting the sky in shades of ending. We emerged from the collapse into an alley choked with abandoned cars and bodies, so many bodies that I stopped counting after 20. But they weren't moving. The infected that had ruled the streets for 6 months lay still, scattered like broken dolls. Some were crumpled against walls, others sprawled in the middle of the street, their limbs bent at impossible angles. "What happened to them?" Pastor Glenn whispered, his voice hoarse from smoke and screaming. I knelt beside the nearest one, a woman in a hospital gown, her wrists still bearing restraint marks. Her eyes were open, filmed over, dead. Not undead, actually dead. "I don't know," I said, "but it's recent, maybe hours." Robert laughed. The sound was broken, edged with hysteria. "So we survive 185 days in that nightmare, and we come out to find the apocalypse is over? Is that the joke? Is that the cosmic fucking punchline?" "It's not over." Lily stood at the alley's mouth, staring out at the city. "Look." We joined her. From our vantage point, we could see downtown. The skyscrapers still stood, but something was wrong with them. Dark patches spread across their faces like mold. The same bioluminescent glow we'd seen in the tunnels pulsed faintly in windows, in doorways, in the growing dusk. "Oh no," I breathed. "Oh no, no, no." "What?" Robert demanded. "What am I looking at?" "It's not just the station." My voice felt distant, detached. "The colony, that thing, it said it's been growing for decades. What if the station wasn't the only nest? What if there are others, under every subway, every sewer, every forgotten place where people disappeared and nobody looked?" Pastor Glenn's face went gray. "You're saying the infection, the zombies, they were just an appetizer, a delivery system. They drove people into hiding, into sealed spaces, into the dark underground places where—" I couldn't finish, didn't need to. Lily was shaking. "The entire city, maybe the entire world. We've been feeding it, all of us, every survivor who went underground to hide." A sound behind us. We spun. Travis stood in the tunnel entrance. But he was different. The gray was receding, pulling back like the colony was abandoning ship. His real eye, both eyes now, found mine. Human. Aware. Drowning in horror. "Run," he whispered. Blood leaked from his nose, his ears. "It's coming. All of it. Every nest is waking up. They're connected. One organism across the whole city. And when the sun goes down—" He fell to his knees. "Maya, when the sun goes down, it all comes up." "What do you mean?" I rushed to him, caught him as he collapsed. "The darkness," he gasped. "It only hunts in darkness, but it's been growing strong. So strong. Tonight." His hand gripped my wrist with fading strength. "Tonight it's strong enough to block out the moon, to make the darkness last forever." His eyes rolled back. His breathing stopped, and this time he didn't get back up. The sun touched the horizon. Shadows stretched long and hungry across the street. "We need shelter," Robert said. "High ground. Somewhere with light." "There is nowhere," Pastor Glenn interrupted. He pointed at the buildings. The dark patches were spreading, growing, consuming the structures from the inside. "It's in everything, under everything. We're standing on top of it." A rumbling beneath our feet. The ground trembled. Cracks appeared in the asphalt, not from earthquakes, but from something pushing up from below. "The church," I said suddenly. "St. Michael's, 3 blocks north. It has a bell tower, generators, solar panels on the roof. I saw them before the outbreak. We treated refugees there." "Why would that help?" Lily asked. "Because that thing, that colony, it evolved in the dark. Underground. It's photophobic. The bioluminescence is just enough for it to see, but real light hurts it. The foam proved that, and if we can get above the growth, above the tunnels, somewhere with constant light—" The ground split open 20 feet away. Something erupted from the crack, a tendril as thick as my torso, covered in that pulsing gray flesh. It tasted the air like a serpent, then dove back down. "Run!" We ran, through streets lined with the dead, past cars that were already being consumed by growth creeping up from the sewers. The sun sank lower with each step, and the shadows grew teeth. Behind us, the city was waking up. The real city, the one that had been growing beneath our feet all along. We turned a corner, and St. Michael's rose before us, white stone and stained glass, still pristine, still untouched. The cross on top caught the last rays of sunlight and threw them back like a challenge. The church doors were sealed, chained from the inside. Robert slammed into them with his shoulder. Once, twice, they didn't budge. The sun was gone now. Twilight painted everything in shades of blue and gray, and from every manhole cover, every storm drain, every crack in the earth, they began to emerge. Not the infected, the colony itself, the thing beneath, rising up to claim the surface it had been planning to take for 38 years. "Help!" I screamed at the church doors, pounding with both fists. "Please, somebody help us!" Silence. Then a sound, chains rattling, locks turning. The door opened 6 inches. A face appeared in the gap, a woman, middle-aged, terrified. "How many?" she demanded. "4," I gasped. "Please. Are any of you infected?" "No, are any of you bitten?" I thought of Derek, of Travis, of the thing in the tunnels. "No," I lied. The door opened. We stumbled through. The woman slammed it shut behind us, chains rattling back into place. Inside, the church blazed with light. Lanterns, candles, floodlights running off generators. Every surface illuminated, and huddled in the pews, survivors, maybe 30 of them. "You made it just in time," the woman said. 5 minutes later and we wouldn't have opened. Not for anyone." "Why?" Lily asked. The woman pointed at the stained glass windows. We could see through them, see the street outside. It was moving. The entire surface of the earth rippled like water. The growth was everywhere now, spreading across asphalt and concrete, climbing buildings, consuming everything the light didn't touch. And in the darkness between the lights, shapes moved. Humanoid, but wrong. "It rises every night now," the woman said. "Started 3 days ago. We're survivors from all over the city. We all found our way here because—" She gestured at the lights. "Because it can't come into the light. Not yet, but it's getting stronger. Learning. Adapting." "How long?" Pastor Glenn asked. "How long until—" The lights flickered. Every single one, just for a second. But in that second of darkness, I saw something pressed against the stained glass window, something that had been human once. Its mouth opened, and that layered voice spoke loud enough to shake the pews. "Hello, Maya. Did you think you escaped?" The light stabilized, and the thing outside retreated into the darkness beyond the windows. But I could still feel it, watching, waiting, patient as the grave. "You!" The woman grabbed my arm, her grip painful. "It knows you. What did you do? What did you bring here?" "Nothing!" I pulled away. "We were trapped in Union Station. That thing, that colony, it's been there for decades. We barely escaped." "Union Station?" An older man stood from the front pew, gray beard, haunted eyes. "That's ground zero. We've been tracking the spread. Started there, moved through the subway tunnels, then the sewers. 3 days ago, it reached critical mass and started rising." Robert slumped against a pew. "So it's over. That's what you're saying. We're just waiting to die in a slightly prettier cage." "No." The bearded man shook his head. "We're not waiting. We're preparing." He led us to the altar. Behind it, spread across the floor, was a map of the city, marked with red X's and circles, lines connecting underground tunnels. "My name is Marcus. I was a civil engineer, helped build half the subway extensions in this city." He pointed at the map. "The colony is one organism, but it's vulnerable. It needs its central nodes, the original nests where it first took root. Union Station is the primary node, the oldest, the strongest, but there are 6 others." "What are you saying?" Lily leaned over the map. "I'm saying we don't have to kill all of it. Just the heart, the original, the thing that started in Union Station in 1987. Cut that out, and the whole organism dies. Or at least goes dormant long enough for us to—" "That's insane," I interrupted. "You want us to go back there? Into that nightmare?" Marcus's eyes were steady, hard. "I want you to save what's left of humanity, because in 72 hours, the colony will be strong enough to survive in partial sunlight, in a week, full daylight, and then there's nowhere left to hide." The church fell silent except for the hum of generators and the wet sounds of the colony moving outside. "How?" Pastor Glenn asked quietly. "How do we kill something like that?" "Fire," Marcus said. "The old tunnels run on gas lines, natural gas for the original heating systems, never properly capped when they switched to electric. We overload them, cause the explosion big enough, and we cook the entire nest, collapse the tunnels, bury it under 1 million tons of rubble." "Suicide mission," Robert muttered. "Yes," Marcus agreed, "which is why I'm asking for volunteers, not demanding. You've seen the nest. You know the layout. We need... I'll go. The words were out of my mouth before I could think. I'll go back. Everyone stared. Maya, no, Lily started. It knows me, I said. It wants me. That's an advantage. While it's focused on me, someone else can reach the gas lines. I'll go too. Pastor Glenn stood. His hands shook, but his voice was steady. I've been praying for a purpose, for a way to matter. Maybe this is it. Marcus nodded slowly. We'll need a team of 4. 2 to set the charges. 2 to draw the colony's attention. His eyes found mine. You sure about this? Was I? No. God, no. Every instinct screamed to refuse, to hide, to let someone else be the hero. But I thought of Derek, of Travis, of all the people who died because that thing had been feeding on fear and forgotten souls for decades. I'm sure, I lied. The next 2 hours were preparation. Marcus's people had supplies, explosives scavenged from construction sites, timers, detonators. They had UV lamps that could hold the colony back temporarily. They had a plan. It was a terrible plan, but it was the only one we had. At midnight, we gathered at the church doors. Me, Pastor Glenn, Marcus, and a young woman named Rhea, who'd been a demolitions expert before the world ended. 4 people against a hive mind that had consumed a city. The UV lamps will clear a path, Marcus explained, handing each of us a high-powered flashlight modified with UV bulbs. But they drain fast, 15 minutes, maybe 20. We get in, set the charges, and get out. If anyone gets separated... He didn't finish. Didn't need to. Lily grabbed my hand. Come back, she whispered. Please. I'll try. The doors opened. We stepped into the darkness. The city was unrecognizable. The growth covered everything. Buildings, streets, cars. It pulsed with that sickly bioluminescence, turning the world into a diseased nightmare, and moving through it, hundreds of shapes. The colonized, the consumed. They turned toward us as one. Our UV lamps blazed to life. The colony recoiled, pulling back, creating a corridor of safety. We ran, through streets that breathed, past things that had been people. The station entrance loomed ahead, the same entrance we'd sealed 6 months ago. Now it gaped open like a wound, inviting us in. We descended into hell. The nest had grown. The entire station was unrecognizable, walls of organic matter, floors carpeted in pulsing flesh, bodies suspended everywhere, their eyes following our movements. And sitting on its throne of bone and metal, the thing that had been the first victim smiled. Maya, it said with 1,000 mouths, you came back. I knew you would. Fear always returns to its source. Now! Marcus screamed. Rhea and Marcus split off, running toward the old maintenance tunnels, toward the gas lines. Pastor Glenn and I stood our ground, UV lamps raised. Clever, the thing mused, but you forget. I've been learning, adapting. The bodies in the walls began to move. Not toward us, toward Marcus and Rhea. No! I screamed, running after them. Pastor Glenn followed. We fought through corridors of flesh. The UV lamps burned the colony back, but it kept reforming, kept coming. My lamp started to flicker. Battery dying. 10 minutes left, maybe less. We found Marcus and Rhea in the maintenance level. They'd reached the gas lines, were setting charges, but the colony was everywhere, pressing in despite the UV light. How long? I gasped. 2 minutes to set, Rhea said, her hands steady despite the horror. Then 5 minutes to get clear before Marcus's lamp died. The colony surged forward. Tendrils wrapped around his legs, pulling him down. He screamed, not pain, but rage, and kept working on the charges even as the gray spread across his skin. Go, he shouted. I'll finish it. Go. Pastor Glenn grabbed Rhea. I grabbed Marcus's detonator. Our lamps were dying. Seconds left. We ran. Behind us, Marcus's scream became something else. Something plural. The nest knew what we'd done. The entire organism shook with fury. Bodies pulled themselves from walls. The thing on the throne stood its voice shaking the foundations. You cannot kill what cannot die. I am eternal. We burst through the station entrance just as our lamps died completely. Darkness swallowed everything. I hit the detonator. The world became fire. The explosion tore through Union Station like the wrath of God. Flames erupted from every entrance, every window, every crack. The ground buckled. The street collapsed. And from the depths, a scream, not human, not animal, but something ancient and terrible dying its final death. We lay on the broken pavement, gasping, bleeding, alive. The bioluminescent glow across the city flickered, dimmed, and then, slowly, began to fade. Buildings stopped breathing. The growth receded, turning gray and brittle. The colonized collapsed, whatever had animated them finally going silent. Pastor Glenn laughed. The sound was half-sob. Did we actually? Look, Rhea pointed at the horizon. Dawn was breaking. Real dawn. Clean and golden and pure. And in its light, the colony burned away like fog. 3 days later, we broadcast from the church bell tower. Lily's idea. Tell the world what happened, what we'd survived, what we'd learned. I stood at the microphone, looking out at a city slowly coming back to life. Survivors emerging from their hiding places. The dead finally staying dead. This is Maya Rodriguez, I said, broadcasting from St. Michael's Church. If you're hearing this, you survived. We all survived. The colony is dead. The infection is over. But we need to remember. Need to make sure we never forget the people who disappeared, the ones who lived in the dark places. Because when we forget them, when we ignore them, I paused. That's when monsters are born. I clicked off the microphone and turned to the others. Lily, Robert, Pastor Glenn, Rhea, the handful of survivors who'd become something like family. What now? Lily asked. I thought about Derek, about Travis, about Marcus and all the others who'd given everything so we could stand here in the light. Now? I smiled. It felt strange, like I'd forgotten how. Now we rebuild, we remember, and we never, ever go back into the dark alone. Behind us, the sun climbed higher, and for the first time in 188 days, I wasn't afraid of what came next. Would you have gone back into that station? Could you have faced your deepest fear to save everyone else? Drop your thoughts below, and if you want to hear what happened to the other survivors, let me know. There are more stories from the 185 days, more nightmares that need to be told.